government literally walking away from their responsibility. I'll talk about that, but I'll also talk about what we, as a state that is a compassionate state, that looks out for its people, what we're doing in its stead. But contrast that with an administration that's literally willing to leave people out in the cold. And the shutdown, it was inhumane. This is a Republican-driven shutdown where so many people were hurt, so many. And I heard from people all across the state, just so stressed out. They're already stressed out. But then to say that some of their life support, whether it's food or energy assistance, was going to be gone, that they were merely pawns in a political drama, that may be over, but guess what? It could start all over again in January. This is a temporary reprieve, and who knows what'll happen then. The Agriculture Secretary was talking about their big ideas, and we talked about SNAP. They told us back in September that there was going to be $6 billion available in emergency funds, because never in the history of this state or this country, during a government shutdown, have they eliminated or suspended food stamp programs. Never. Because that was just too much to comprehend, that you'd actually let people be hungry. And yet it happened now. The Secretary of Agriculture took down the post on the website that said there was $6 billion waiting for them and made it act like it never happened. And so we had to fight that. But now we're still dealing with the trauma of that. But we head into the coldest months of the year. This shutdown delayed our ability to get home heating assistance out to people who need the support. They withheld $400 million here in the state of New York alone, $400 million from federally funded HEAP program. And it set back the application window, because normally at this time of year, New Yorkers are able to be applying. It's early November. As I said, it's getting cold out. This is when you want to make sure that you have this in place. And, it's amazing they couldn't come up with that $400 million, but $300 million for a gilded ballroom in the Capitol, in the White House. I mean, that shows what their priorities are. It is shocking. It is shocking. And so it's cruel, but let's talk about what the impact here in New York is. We have 1.5 million New York households that are going to be facing the possibility of entering this winter without the support they've been able to count on, and they therefore will not be able to afford their energy bills. 2/3 of them include small children, older adults, or people with disabilities. Again, the most vulnerable among us. So what are we talking about? We're talking about a first grader in New York City who's sitting there shivering, hard to focus because it's too cold doing their homework. A new mom coming home from a hospital, Mercy Hospital in Buffalo, trying to heat up the formula on the stove. And the power's not there, the energy's not there. Or, as I mentioned, a grandmother on a fixed income in a place like Colony, Marie, who you'll be hearing from shortly. Now, if you recall, Donald Trump promised on day one to lower utility bills. Well, he promised a lot of things, but that's one stuck in mind. Prices are going to come down. Utility bills are going to be lower. And instead, they're rising. And this delay in starting a program that's supposed to help people with those utility bills is just cruel. And we cannot stand idly by here in the state of New York while that happens to our people. Not now, not ever. I have spent my years as governor trying to make this state more affordable despite all the headwinds. And last year, we lowered middle-class taxes to the lowest rate they've been in 70 years. We put money back in people's with free lunches and breakfast for children in schools, free community college for adults going into careers where we have vacancies, child tax credit, knowing that children under the age of 4 are pretty darn expensive, right, Marie? That's when they cost a lot. So we're focusing on affordability and also energy bills, but here we are constantly trying to play catch up with the Trump administration. But here's what we're doing. During this shutdown, we dedicated more than $100 million to low-income New Yorkers for SNAP, and we also fortified our network of food bank and pantry partners. And also, let's talk about energy. This is why we have to look at an all-the-above approach to our energy solutions, because we know the more supply we have, the more the prices will decline. It's just common sense. Same thing why we want to build more housing. You build more housing stock, you have more apartments on the market, more houses, the prices go down. It's just basic economics. But I also know that very simply we're not leaving people out in the cold, and we let bills escalate. And that is why we have a thoughtful approach to energy. And I want to make sure you know that we are going to continue the resources we have in place, so every New Yorker is able to stay in their home nice and warm, even when Donald Trump refuses to help. So first of all, I want to urge all eligible households to sign up for the programs we have here in New York. The New York's Energy Assistance Program, which provides monthly discounts on your bills. Now here's what's frustrating. In 2025, we had over 1 million homes sign up for this. That's great. But we know that there's 1.5 million more that are eligible for this who did not sign up. So I need everybody to help get the word out. Everybody you can contact to say, sign up for this, take advantage of this. The state and our legislature, myself, we're committed to helping you. So make sure we get more people to look into that. If you're a family of 4 and make up to $80,000, or family of 5 that makes $90,000, they can enroll in these discounts. But that's not enough for us. We're expanding the eligibility into 2026. That'll raise the income limits so another 1.6 million will be eligible. So that's good news. And for people to learn more, go to ny.gov/EAP. Okay, remember that. Is it on the sign too? There you go. But also we have state laws that prevent utility companies from shutting off power to vulnerable households during the colder months. They know that, and we're going to enforce that very intensely. And now, let me just say this. Energy assistance is not some radical idea. It's not dreamed up by anybody other than, guess who? Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan first put this in place, his first year in office. It's been supported by Democrat and Republican administrations since the very beginning. They've long recognized the humanity of helping people be warm during cold months, especially in places like New York, which get very cold. So 44 years later, we find ourselves with an administration just dead set on hurting people. And our own Republican delegation here in New York, not exactly profiles in courage, because they have a voice, they have a vote, and they refuse to use it to stand up for cold New Yorkers. Wish more of them were like Paul Tonko, who's not afraid to do what's necessary to protect the people in his district and his state. Here we've done everything we needed on our side to make sure the applications for HEAP can reopen on the 24th, because the money's still not been released. You know that. The money has still not been released from the federal government, despite the fact that the shutdown is over. That's point number one. So we want to make sure we can get these applications out, but the federal government has to step up right now. Today I'm calling on the Trump administration and all Republicans to turn on this heat, turn on the spigot, turn on the gas, turn on the power, turn on the electricity. Let's start making sure that people don't have to be stressed out all across America about whether or not their families and themselves are going to be cold. Release the federal heating funds, which are essential, and join all of us here in keeping people safe and warm. And while you're at it, just do your jobs. Just do your jobs. I mean, I'm not asking for more than that. It gets a little frustrating, because we should not be standing here talking about this. We should be simply saying, another year, our state program is working, it's got the federal funds are there to back it up, everything's good. Why is that not the case? Well, I don't have the answer, but I believe they will all have to answer for this before very long. Americans are sick and tired of this, being punching bags, being denied food, being denied heat, And now health insurance premiums, have you seen them lately? Have you gotten one in the mail? Have you talked to somebody? Doubling? Where are people supposed to get the money? Yeah, prices were going to come down, except they didn't. So their strategy is to take from the poor and give to the rich. I don't think that's going to hold much longer. Americans are going to rebel against that. But remember, that's Washington. Here in New York, we know who we are. We have heart. We have compassion. Yeah, we have a lot of grit. We also care about people deeply. That's what sets us apart from what is happening right now in our nation's capital. In New York, we'll feed those who are hungry. We don't turn our backs on them. In New York, we protect each other. We don't block access to critical health care. And in New York, we don't let people freeze. So let's stand together. We know what we have to do. Despite all the storm clouds that are down in Washington, I feel here in New York, we're on the right track. We're doing the right thing. And it's as simple as standing up for our people. Thank you very much. Let me bring up, thank you. Let me introduce Congressman Paul Tonko. As a former head of NYSERDA, understands how important energy is to our lives. Is that correct? You had a history before Congress, that's for sure. But ladies and gentlemen,